This is All Things Must Pass by George Harrison. Let's talk records. It is November 22nd, 1968. Everywhere in the world, the Beatles release a new double album, Simple and Stark, the White Album. To the outside world, it's another masterpiece. But inside the band, the seams are splitting. Brian Epstein, the manager who held them together, is gone. And without his steady hand, the chemistry collapses. The sessions are tense, fragmented, competitive. John is bringing Yoko into the studio despite the supposed strict rule of no girlfriends or wives in the studio. Paul is trying to steer the ship. Ringo briefly quits. And George Harrison, who's writing some of the strongest material of his career, can barely get a song onto the record. While millions celebrate the album, George feels invisible. During Thanksgiving 1968, Harrison escapes to Woodstock to spend time with Bob Dylan and the band, playing, writing, being valued. It restores him. His confidence comes back. His ideas come back. His belief in himself comes back. When George returns to London, he's immediately thrown into the chaos of the Get Back sessions. And once again, his songs are pushed aside. Frustrated, he pours himself into producing other artists. Billy Preston's That's the Way God Planned It, Doris Troy's self-titled album, projects with Jackie Lomax, Delaney and Bonnie, and working with musicians like Leon Russell and Eric Clapton. Harrison at the time was also growing spiritually through Krishna consciousness. And then comes another moment that changes everything. On January 10th, 1969, George Harrison quietly tells the band, "I'm leaving." He quits the Beatles. That night, angry and overwhelmed, he writes a new song out of pure frustration, Wah Wah. He doesn't know it yet, but it will end up on his solo debut. Later that year, George joins Delaney and Bonnie on tour. Delaney Bramlett teaches him the slide guitar techniques that will become his signature. By early 1970, he's had enough. Paul announces he's leaving the Beatles. The band is finished. And George finally has room to breathe. And to make the record he'd been carrying inside him for years. He brings in producer Phil Spector, who had just worked on Lennon's Instant Karma, and gathers an unbelievable lineup of musicians. Eric Clapton, Klaus Voormann, Ringo Starr, Billy Preston, Gary Wright, Peter Frampton, Dave Mason, Jim Gordon, Bobby Whitlock, Carl Radle, members of Badfinger, Pete Ham and Tom Evans providing acoustic guitar, even a young Phil Collins, plus many others drifting in and out of the sessions. The sessions are massive, chaotic at times. Spector layers everything with his wall of sound. George later admitted the sound got a little too echoey, but it gave the record a monumental weight, something no Beatle had attempted before. All Things Must Pass was released November 27th, 1970 on Apple Records. The third LP, Apple Jam, is exactly that. Loose extended instrumental jams captured around the sessions. And the box set package came with a huge folded poster of George, beard and all, in his mystic post-Beatle era. The cover itself speaks volumes. Shot by Barry Feinstein, it shows George sitting alone among garden gnomes. A quiet commentary on how he had always felt small, diminished, overlooked in the Beatles. Now, he's finally seen. The album's first single, My Sweet Lord, released November 23rd in the US and January 15th, 1971 in the UK, was originally meant for someone else. Harrison first hoped Edwin Hawkins of Oh Happy Day fame would record it. Then Billy Preston released his own version on Encouraging Words. But George's recording became the defining one. The first #1 single by a former Beatle, topping charts worldwide through 1970 and 1971. In 1971, he was sued for subconscious plagiarism of the Chiffons He's So Fine, a legal battle that dragged on for years. George argued he'd been inspired by gospel music, but the court ruled against him in 1976, forcing him to pay over $1.5 million. Still, My Sweet Lord remains one of the most beloved songs of the era. The follow-up single, What Is Life, was another fan favorite. It was released on February 15th, 1971 in the US, and it reached number 10 on the US Billboard Hot 100. Critically and commercially, All Things Must Pass was a triumph. #1 in both the US and the UK, eventually going 7 times platinum, and inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame in 2014. It's the sound of freedom, the sound of a songwriter finally unblocked, and the sound of George Harrison stepping fully, unmistakably into his own light. Rolling Stone magazine placed it at number 433 on their 2012 list of the 500 greatest albums of all time, and number 368 on their 2020 list. All Things Must Pass, a masterpiece that proved George was never the quiet one. He was the one who had been waiting.
Sweet Lord.